Hi, I'm Becky Jones. I'm a member of Wesley UMC in Ludlow, the district lay leader in the current Northern Kentucky district, and the chairperson of CFA.
And I am David Garvin, your conference treasurer.
And it's our pleasure to present to you the first reading of the 2026 conference budget. Our conference theme this year is Hope Overflowing, and we can't separate our hope without remembering our thankfulness to you. So I share with you this verse from Romans chapter 1, verse 8. I thank my God through Jesus Christ for all of you, because your faith is proclaimed throughout all the world. We are thankful for your faithfulness in giving in this past year. Because of your faithfulness, we achieved 100% of our giving goal for 2024. And that was 94 churches paid 100% of our mission covenant. We also celebrate and give thanks for 79 churches who gave an increase in OMC giving from 2023 to 2024. We know that apportionment giving requires sacrifice, but it is that shared sacrifice that allows us to have shared ministry across the conference, across the country, and throughout the world. So on behalf of CFA and David, thank you very much for your faithfulness in giving. Let's talk now about how we created this budget. We began with prayers and time and meaningful work to create the 2026 budget back in the fall of 2024. We began with initial revenue projections and a review of local church finances. And then in January of this year, CFA examined and incorporated year-end statistics and final 2024 conference financial experience. In January and February, CFA received 2026 budget proposals from our various ministry teams. In March of 25, we met again to discuss the proposals and budget with the ministry team directors. Throughout this process, CFA paid attention to annual conference mission and financial well-being, local churches' missional and financial health, our conference's discipleship priorities, which are mental health and well-being of our clergy and staff, professions of faith, a culture of call, spiritual leadership development, and disrupting and dismantling racism and discrimination. In all of our work, CFA has tried to be a wise steward of our resources while supporting ministries and work that God has called our conference to do as we move forward with hope overflowing.
Thank you, Becky. And now we'll turn to the proposed 2026 budget. You could find the 2026 budget along with other documents related to the budget beginning on page 78 of the pre-conference report book. For 2026, CFA is proposing a total budget of approximately $4.4 million. This is a 4% increase from the 2025 budget. This $4.4 million, it's represented by approximately $3.1 million in apportionment or our mission covenant funds, and then is supplemented by the revenue and other support we receive from some of our partners. For the Our Mission Covenant rate in 2026, CFA is proposing a 10% rate. This rate was first introduced for the 2021 budget year, and CFA continues to believe that it is sufficient to support the ministries that we share together as an annual conference. We'll turn for a moment and look specifically at our revenue. For 2026, our primary source of revenue will continue to be apportionment funds, our mission covenant, and again, we're projecting approximately $3.1 million in our mission covenant giving in 2026. This is, in fact, an increase of about 8% over the 2025 budget. CFA acknowledges that this is a stretch and it's a step of faith on behalf of CFA. This stretch will require a greater participation from all of our churches, but we're confident that we can do this. And we're confident that you, as pastors and lay leaders, that you believe, like CFA does, that investing in our ministries, sharing in our giving, these are things worth supporting, and lives are changed because of the giving that we share together. In addition to Our Mission Covenant revenue, there are other sources of revenue that will continue to support our ministries. I do think it's important to note, though, that in 2026, there will be no disaffiliation fund usage. In 2023, 24, and 25, CFA did use lump sums of disaffiliation funds to support the budget. But now in 2026, CFA has no planned use of those disaffiliation funds in a single lump sum. Instead, we're thankful to a variety of other sources that will continue to support our mission together in our budget. We're thankful to the Board of Pensions. We're thankful to our districts. We're thankful also to the ministry and staff who've outlined some planned usage of designated funds. You know, CFA has always worked closely with staff and ministry teams to find funds to supplement when apportionment dollars fall short. And in 2026, that's particularly true as we work with ministry teams and others to use some non-apportionment funds, again, to support the ministry plans that are so important to our conference and to our ministry teams. In 2026, those non-apportionment funds will total approximately $1.3 million. And again, CFA is grateful for the cooperation and the collaboration and the incorporation of those funds to support, again, the ministry and the mission of our annual conference. I'll turn it over to Becky now to speak more about expenses.
On the expense side, CFA maintained a strong commitment to reducing administrative and personnel expenses in order to maximize ministry area spending. Overall, personnel expenses decreased by $102,631, or 5% from 2025. Administrative expenses decreased by $155,534, or 17% from 2025. General church and southeastern jurisdictional support increases by $205,226, or 21% from 2025, and ministry areas support increases by $143,865, or 34% from 2025. The first item of expense is personnel expenses. And while we pull that out as a standalone category, we do consider it at CFA a part of ministry, because without staff and without our leadership at the conference level, we couldn't achieve this mission together across the state. We're grateful for how the staff leads and provides a variety of administrative support across the conference. In total, personnel expenses have decreased in this 2026 budget by $102,631. This is a result of CFA's collaboration with others around staff decisions that included a reduction in force, restructuring, and a 3% increase in staff salaries. For administrative expenses, in addition to a reduction in personnel expenses, CFA also proposes a budget that supports administrative expenses of the conference, but at a reduced level. These administrative expenses have been reduced by $155,534, or 17% from 2025. The administrative expenses exist to support the ministry of the conference in ways that include the annual conference session, insurance of Camps Wesley Foundation, conference office and other properties, and office operations. There are several significant ways we are decreasing administrative expenses, and those include a reduction of property insurance, utilities, and maintenance as a result of the proposed sale of the conference building and the Episcopal residence, a reduction in the future costs of annual conference sessions, and a reduction in some meeting and office operation expenses as our staff and ministry teams incorporate more remote work or hybrid meetings. David?
Thanks, Becky. to turn to the ministry side of things, as we've mentioned, CFA has prioritized the reduction in personnel and administrative expenses for the sake of increasing our ministry investments. When it comes to ministries in Kentucky, and thinking specifically of those ministry areas that are funded by the budget, the 2026 budget proposes increasing funding for ministry areas by $143,000. I'd like to point out a few of the exciting things that are happening in those ministry areas as it relates to this increase in the budgeted spending. There are a few areas that are receiving increases in budget funding for 2026, specifically new church development, youth ministries, the Committee on Religion and Race, as well as strengthening the Black church for the 21st century. In addition to those funding increases, CFA is also excited to provide funding to two new areas, not necessarily new areas of ministry for the conference, but new areas to receive funding from the budget, specifically young adult ministries as well as Hispanic ministries. Finally, in that ministry areas section of the budget, one comment on our higher education and campus ministries. You will notice that funding has decreased in 2026 for our higher education ministries, but the amount of funding that has been allocated is in fact 100% of what the higher education team had requested in 2026. Moving on to the final expense category, our general church and Southeast jurisdictional ministries. Again, in the ways that we're trying to increase our ministry support across Kentucky, we're also trying to increase our ministry support of the general church and the Southeast jurisdictional ministries. And so for 2026, our commitment to those ministry areas has increased by about $205,000. CFA has shared in the past that we have not always been able to honor our general church and Southeast apportionments at 100%. But this increase of about $205,000, it does represent for 2026 a conference commitment of 100% of what is being asked of us by the general church. CFA is committed to that in all the ways that it can be and hopes to model for our local churches that same commitment of 100% to our connectional giving.
Our hope overflowing is because of our thankfulness. And it's not without recognizing that there are challenges ahead. But we bring you this 2026 budget because we are filled with hope that we can meet those challenges and exceed what we are proposing. Thank you, David. Thank you, staff. Thank you, ministry teams, for all of your work in putting this budget together. In addition to David Garvin, our conference treasurer, I want to thank our controller, Heather Duvall, and Leslie Williams, who manages the benefits administration. Without their assistance, this work wouldn't be possible. So thank you. We look forward to seeing you at annual conference in Owensboro in June. And please contact us if you have any questions.